When Douglas K. Amdahl retired as Chief Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court in 1989, more than 1,000 people attended his retirement party. Those people gathered to honor a man with a judicial career spanning almost 30 years, someone highly revered and universally recognized as a superb judge. Minnesota Justice John Simonette said Justice Amdahl would be remembered as one of the great Chief Justices of this state. The Star Tribune called him a genuine innovator, and Minnesota Justice George Scott declared he is truly the best trial judge in the state of Minnesota. Douglas Amdahl was born in 1919 in Mabel, Minnesota, the third and youngest child and only son of Norwegian immigrants Oleann and Beulah Amdahl. His father was a harness maker and later a cobbler. His mother was a school teacher. Justice Amdahl spent much of his youth on his grandparents' farm, where he and his grandfather Amdahl fished, picked nuts and berries, and tended to horses. It's also where the younger Amdahl learned to drive a Model T. After high school, he attended the University of Minnesota, studying business until he joined the Army and served in World War II, going ashore on Normandy Beach 3 days after D-Day and earning a total of 7 battle stars for his part in 7 major battles. After the war, he finished his studies at the university, and in 1947, he enrolled in Minneapolis, Minnesota College of Law, a predecessor to William Mitchell. At the end of his first year of law school, he became the school's assistant registrar. With the help of his wife, Phyllis, Justice Amdahl maintained that position for his remaining 3 years of law school, meaning he was the janitor, elevator operator, book salesman, tuition collector, librarian, negotiator with the Veterans Administration, and of course, an excellent student. Justice Amdahl graduated summa cum laude in 1951, at which point he was promoted to registrar of the law school. He held that position and practiced law out of his law school office for 4 years until he became an assistant Hennepin County attorney. His judicial career began in 1961 when he was named a municipal judge. The following year, he moved up to the county level, and in 1974, he was elevated to chief judge for Hennepin County. In 1980, Governor Al Quie appointed him to the Minnesota Supreme Court, and 1 year later, he was named Chief Justice. Justice Amdahl served 8.5 years on the Supreme Court, and his contributions were immense. As Chief Justice, he inherited a Supreme Court with a yearly docket of 1,400 cases. The court decided many of those cases without hearing arguments or issuing opinions. Justice Amdahl changed that, tirelessly spearheading the establishment of Minnesota's Court of Appeals. But he didn't stop there. He also oversaw the consolidation of district and municipal trial courts into one system. He secured more trial judgeships, and he helped win funding for the construction of the Minnesota Judicial Center. On top of that, he wrote 554 majority opinions. Justice Amdahl raised 2 children, Faith and Charles, and was a devoted husband to Phyllis for more than 50 years. He found time to serve on William Mitchell's Board of Trustees, teach at the law school, and above all, mentor and help others in the profession he so dearly loves.
The one that had the most impact for me was the chance to be a law clerk, deputy sheriff, bailiff, and clerk of court combination for Judge Amdahl in Hennepin County District Court, where they had never had law clerks before for any of the judges until 1965 when they started this program. And so I was his handyman, did everything, did research for him, wrote memos for him, swore in witnesses, kept order in the court, made his coffee every morning. And to be exposed to him, who was one of our leading jurists in the state of Minnesota, a very practical, wise person, was really a compliment to my education. And I've always felt like I tried to model after him in terms of what it means to show character in this profession.
When one of my friends said you should get a job clerking for one of those judges, I printed up a resume and walked over to the courthouse and said to the clerk, "Where are the judges?" And they said, "Well, the offices are on the 13th floor and up." And I went to the first office that I could find over the noon hour and started handing out resumes. And the first person I ran into was Doug Amdahl, who was eating his lunch at his desk. And if you know anything of his story, he's a country boy from Mabel and worked his way through law school. And I think he thought it was just a hoot that I was so unsophisticated that I wouldn't even have a cover letter. I'd just kind of knock on doors and say, "Hi, you need a law clerk?" He hired me, and it really turned my life around. It made everything that I've accomplished now possible.
At a speech to the Minnesota Bar upon his retirement, Justice Amdahl closed by saying, "I hope that you, my fellow lawyers, who have shared with me this profession of which I am so very proud, will, in your assessment of my tenure on the bench, come to the conclusion that I was worthy to be called judge." As countless legal professionals and Minnesota citizens can attest, Justice Douglas K. Amdahl is not only worthy to be called judge, he defines it.